We are joined now by the great Phillip Dukes at Dukes the Scoop, host of the 5-Star Flex. Dukes is in Indianapolis. I found this out yesterday morning when I woke up and saw a text message that had arrived at 2:51 a.m. with somebody I know, a former coworker of mine, who covers an NFL team, saying hello to me. And I'm like, I know where Dukes is. Dukes is in Indy. I even think I know what bar he's in. I bet he's at Prime 47. How close did I get? Like on the GPS, how close did I get?
Spot on. Absolutely killed it. Nailed it.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well, and thanks to Colton Pouncey, the Lions writer for The Athletic, for giving Dukes a reason to text me at 3 a.m. I appreciate that. But Dukes, I'm so happy you're there because I want somebody who cuts through the crap to talk about these quarterbacks with, because I went on a rant on the show, mini rant, not a huge rant, mini rant, because Caleb's not throwing, Drake's not throwing, Jayden's not throwing. Like, I get Caleb not throwing. Caleb's the number one pick. He's QB1. There's no question. Nobody's arguing that. But my thing is, like, if you're Drake, man, you couldn't beat Virginia. You couldn't beat Georgia Tech last year. You're supposed to be the number 2 pick in the draft. You afraid of throwing in shorts next to JJ McCarthy?
Right. I mean, I really don't get it. That seems like a layup to me, right? It's like,
right.
What is a quarterback? It's not asking him to do your best bootleg. It's not asking him to pick up a block on Philly special. It's asking him to throw the ball, which is the essential function of a quarterback. So it really doesn't make a lot of sense to me. But I think the cool part about it is it'll shine the light on the guys who do want to go and throw the ball. So hopefully the guys who are right now in that next tier of quarterbacks can take advantage of that situation.
Well, and that was my thing last year. Like, C.J. Stroud did it. Now, C.J. was probably going to be picked number 2 anyway.
Right.
But what if the Texans didn't see C.J. Stroud throw for throw with Anthony Richardson and said, you know what? Maybe not.
Right.
Or maybe because they had another pick in the first round, which they ended up trading up to get Will Anderson. So maybe they just used that pick on Will Anderson and were like, if he's there with that other one, maybe we'll take him. But maybe, like, the whole NFL season could have changed.
Right, absolutely. So even being up here, just being around, and as you know, like sitting at the bar with some of these agents, and you see the chess games that are being played with agents and teams and scouts and front office guys, and sometimes you just figure out. I mean, sometimes you just want to know, like, bro, can you just go throw the ball? Let's be football players right now. And yeah, maybe that's above my pay grade, but at this point, as a fan and a guy who's around it right now, I'm like, bro, it doesn't really make a ton of sense. But there has to be some method to the madness, and I think it's the comfortability. And you've seen the throws, and we want to have him throw in the most.
That's exactly what it is. They want their private QB coach wants to script the whole thing. It's these throws at this time in this order to receivers that you're used to throwing to.
I mean, so at some point, NFL teams have to see through that, right? Because how many times are you going to pick Zach Wilson? No disrespect to the guy, but you saw how he killed it with the scripted throws. But how many times are you going to base your decision on that solely itself? So, and will you be able to script your throws in Arrowhead Stadium in January and negative 20-degree conditions? Right?
No.
Exactly.
With McDuffie and L'Jarius Sneed back there covering people. No, they will not. So my favorite quote today came from Mike Barrett, the Michigan linebacker. He was talking about JJ McCarthy because JJ is going to throw. And it's crazy because you see people talking about JJ as a first-round draft pick. I still that like Anthony last year, I was like, I get why you're talking about this. It's still hard for me to see after watching it in college. Like, I think JJ could be really good, but I don't know, because Michigan didn't ask him to do that much. But Mike Barrett goes, he will throw a ball out of his butt. Now, here's my question to you, Dukes. If J.J. McCarthy throws a ball out of his butt on Saturday and it's accurate, will that make his draft stock go up or down?
Well, when you talk about arm sliding, right, you can add butt sliding to arm sliding, it's got to be worth at least 10 spots. So absolutely. I mean, that's a heck of a quote. And I think it's a testament to how people feel about JJ's athleticism and the things that he can do that are different than a lot of the quarterbacks that are out of here. And that a lot of people seem to think that Michigan's offense did kind of hold him back some. But I mean, yeah, we watched a lot of Michigan this year, and nobody ever saw. I mean, just last year he was splitting time, so nobody saw this top 15 quarterback on the horizon when you watch a JJ McCarthy. But as you start to dig into it, you see some of the athletic traits, and you hear guys say things like that. It makes you intrigued, and he's one of the guys who will throw at the combine. So that I think the spotlight is going to be on McCarthy.
Well, is it like when I was at the combine last year, I was talking to a scout who I've known for a long time, who's been in the league for a long time, and I was talking about Anthony Richardson. I was like, please tell me what you guys see that those of us who watched him in college maybe didn't notice or didn't appreciate fully, because right. You guys are acting like he is a guaranteed top 5, top 10 pick. And I just watched him go 6-6. And the scout goes, there are only so many human beings like that on the planet. And you have to take a chance. And with JJ, like there's some throws he makes. Like there was one in the national championship game in particular. It was to the right sideline. It was in the second quarter. And you're just like, oh, okay. Yeah. That's right. It right there.
Right. Yeah. And I think even with Anthony Richardson's case last year, there was a play, I think it may have been Tennessee, and it was a 4th down, and he throws the ball out of bounds. And I'm like, all right, bro, you got to take it. You can't throw the ball away on 4th down, right? That's not an NFL quarterback type throw. Or does he have the moxie or the ability to process in those situations? But as that scout said, there are only a few people that are built that way with those type of skills. And it's something that we can teach, because you can't teach a guy how to throw the ball out of the stadium like Michael Vick did on that Nike commercial in 2008, right? May or may
not have been edited, but I choose to believe it was not.
Man, I always used. So back in those days, I used to experiment with herbals, and I used to sit back and say, "Man, that would be cool, right?" Like so. So yeah, I chose to believe it as well.
Well, look, listen. We still haven't seen anybody like Mike Vick. Like,
right.
I want to imagine what Randall Cunningham would have looked like in today's offenses. I want to imagine what Mike Vick would have looked like in today's offenses. Steve Young. Like, I would have loved to see that. Right. But we're getting to see it now. But so speaking of a guy who in his college offense was everything, Jayden Daniels. Like, I'm fascinated by him. And that's he's another one I'd love to see in this situation, because he evolved so much as a QB, almost like a Joe Burrow situation. Now, except the difference is he started 3 years at Arizona State and Joe Burrow was on the bench at Ohio State. But then an okay next to last season at LSU, and then good God, he's unstoppable.
Yeah, I got a chance to see Jayden Daniels in a leadership role at Elite 11 last year. And just seeing how he was kind of coaching some of the younger quarterbacks and kind of just, having that presence about him where it kind of seemed as if he was getting ready to take a turn. Now, I can't say that I exactly saw it, but there was a certain aura about him in the way that he carried himself in that moment. And I think that did carry over into the season. Like, you got to think about it. The previous year, Jalen Carter jacks him up like Homer Simpson did Bart Simpson.
Okay. That is one of my favorite plays of that season. Jalen Carter picked him up like he was a small child. Right. Like he was a child that was about to run into traffic, and he was picking him up and bringing him back to the sidewalk.
Come here, son.
It was unbelievable.
It's unreal. And Jayden Daniels isn't small. And
no.
So just think about the mental fortitude you have to have as a grown man to be picked up that way and to bounce back from that season, and you come out and have the type of season that he has. So if I'm thinking about a quarterback with mental toughness who's been through some things, think about Arizona State when they cleaned out his locker for him. Like, a lot of things that he's been through previously that he's been able to overcome. So when I see things like that, I think that attitude and that aura that I kind of saw a little bit earlier, I think it's going to play well. And I feel like he's one of the cooler customers in the draft this year.
That's the thing. I see a lot of the same things that you saw that made CJ Stroud so good as a rookie.
Right.
You see that with Jayden, like when you hear him talk. And CJ, the Georgia game for CJ in the Peach Bowl, that was a good example of, okay, here's what you can do when you got to get around and move and create, which Ohio State had not really asked him to do that much. And he was great at it. And so it's been fun to watch. But let's talk about some of these other positions. What guys that you loved in college are you excited to see here and in this draft process so that the wider world gets to discover them?
I think that Nate Wiggins, the cornerback at Clemson, I think he's really going to surprise some people. I think he's started to move up the board a little bit where he's in that top 20 range. But I'm hearing he could run 4.2. And if he runs 4.2, he's going to light the combine up at his height. He has the in-game production that you would want. He's got the length. He's got great hips. He high points the ball, contested catches, or he wins a lot more at the point of attack when you talk about high pointing the ball as a defender. But I think the speed factor is something that people aren't factoring in. I know he's going to run 4.3, but I think he's a guy that could push 4.2. So
Nate Wiggins, Atlanta guy, Grady High School.
Westlake.
You've covered. Sorry. Westlake. That's right. You cover these guys. You see them in high school. You meet them in high school. What is it like when you see them get through college and get to this point where they're on the precipice of going to the NFL?
Man, it's a great feeling, man. When you see guys who and Wiggins has a great story. I think I'll let some of that come out as people interview him. But Nate is one of those kids that you say, all right, the process worked. He didn't chase a bag, and he could have left Clemson and chased NIL money, and he didn't do anything. He did everything the right way, and to see things go the way that they have for him, and for him to be able to showcase his talents on the biggest stage for a guy who wants to be an NFL player, I think is amazing, especially when you have a guy that's kind of overcame some odds. And Atlanta in itself, especially when you're a popular guy, there's so much to do in Atlanta. You don't even have to be a troubled kid or a bad kid to get in trouble. It's just so much to do in Atlanta. And to see guys who are able to kind of navigate Atlanta and that home life, and when I say home life, I mean social life. I mean, there's so much, and I'm pretty sure you're familiar with the nightlife in Atlanta.
Absolutely.
And, especially as a star player, not even just as an 18-year-old, but a 19-year-old, a 20-year-old, being able to navigate that with no smut on your rep, so to speak, I think it's a beautiful thing, and it really excites me and gives me hope for the next batch of players coming along out of that area.
Other guys I'm excited to see in the combine, like Tyler Guyton from Oklahoma, the offensive tackle. When I was at the Senior Bowl, like seeing the offensive tackles who come out of college now who are big NFL prospects, they're not fat. Like they look like just jumbo super athletes. And Tyler Guyton is going to put up numbers that nobody who weighs 330 pounds should put up.
No, I think he's going to be great. There was a guy I saw at the Senior Bowl that was massive, that was moving people around like children, and that was T'Vondre Sweat out of Texas.
I love T'Vondre, 362 pounds.
So when you
T'Vondre came on the show.
Oh yeah, he did. Yeah.
Here's where I like T'Vondre all along, but this was first of all, his story talking about how his favorite thing is go back home to all of those people who said he'd never make it at Texas and just show them his degree from Texas. Like, it's a good story. But T'Vondre, what's your favorite part? What with the D-line, what's your favorite thing to do together? And he goes, meetings. What is your favorite thing to do together?
Together? Probably meetings.
And I'm like, damn, y'all are all business.
No, he's not playing around. And I was seeing, I think he signed the agency that he signed with. I was kind of privy to some of the conversations they were having off the field, and it really is all business. I mean, and a lot of times we can be stereotypical with guys that size and defensive linemen, but he is a really, really intelligent and cerebral guy.
Very thoughtful, and I think he may have been a kind of a late bloomer academically, which is why people in his hometown said, oh, you're not going to make it through college. But you talk to him now and you're like, oh, no, this guy, he's got it all together.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he's 362 pounds.
Yeah, I mean, what you going to say? Like, yeah, you need to be doing this. Oh, okay. Yeah, right. You saw what happened when never mind. I'm not even going to go there. I'm going to tell you a guy who I like that's under the radar. Trevin Wallace out of Kentucky.
All right.
Linebacker, all SEC. He had great production. I think he was all SEC the year before if he wasn't, or honorable mention or something like that. But he's a guy that I watched him since he was in high school. He can really run. I think he'll probably perform. He should have the fastest 40 of anybody of linebackers. I'm a 40 guy. I love the speed, and I think he's a guy that can change his draft status if he goes out here and runs the way he can at around 230 pounds. I think he can go 4.4.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, if you can run, it solves everything, especially if you can run with size. And that's linebackers changing now. It's going back because you're seeing teams. Look at what the 49ers do. They're bringing it back, closed in, more tight ends, heavier sets because all defenses got light. So now you got to find that rare guy who at 230, at 235, at 240 can still run because they're still gonna they'll have those sets, but they'll just motion out, and all of a sudden you got to cover at that size. So. Yeah, that one's a good one to watch. I can't wait. And then, it's these are always fun because there's always somebody who just blows up. Like one guy, I think people are gonna like. I'm pretty sure this guy's gonna throw on Saturday. Spencer Rattler. I think they're gonna like watching him throw because all of the stuff that made him such a high-profile quarterback recruit, the pretty ball, the arm strength, the arm talent, is still there.
Right.
It was a bumpy college career, but that part's still there. And somebody's going to take a chance on him in a middle round. He'll have a chance to be a good NFL quarterback.
And then imagine, what if Caleb Williams doesn't go to Oklahoma and Spencer Rattler has a longer leash when it comes to being able to work through some of the tough times he had at Oklahoma? We're talking about a potential Heisman candidate with the type of production he had at that time. So when you look at one of the most cliche terms in these type of environments is traits, but he has them, dog. Like, it don't even matter. Like, you can say it a million times, and every time you talk about traits, he's a guy. When you talk about quarterbacks, the pretty ball, the delivering the ball on time, the release point, the throw angles, all of those catchphrases, they all apply to him. And so I think he's definitely a guy that I think can really do a lot to help his draft stock by having a great performance at the combine.
Dukes, I know you're having a great performance at the combine because I got that text at 3 a.m.
Man,
I know where you'll be tonight. I know. I know. Well, actually, where's dinner first? What's the dinner plan?
So there's a party I got invited to. I think they're gonna have like souped up hors d'oeuvres or something. So I'm gonna go over there. I'm gonna stuff my face with as many potato skins, and hopefully they have something that makes me feel a little more ritzy. And from that point, I may go and have me a Tito's on the rocks with a little lime. I might get a little garnish on there, make myself feel a little classy, a little sexy. And then from that point, I'm just going to go and shake hands with a whole bunch of men and come back to the room and FaceTime my old lady.
That's the way to do it. That is a productive night at the combine. That is how you get the scoop. That is how Dukes the Scoop gets the scoop. Host of the 5-Star Flex, Phillip Dukes, about to go take on Indianapolis today.
Man, thanks a lot, Andy. Man, it's always fun, dog.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it.
All right.
Thank you so much for watching. Just a reminder, subscribe to this channel right here so you never miss an episode of Andy Staples on 3. And oh, by the way, watch all the other great videos on the On3 Sports YouTube channel.